friends. Happy Friday. I'm wearing my hat again. I'm going to start calling this my thinking cap. This will be my Q&A hat on Fridays. But I did shower and I'm wearing makeup this Friday, so that's good, huh? Hey, Amy. Welcome to everyone coming in. Glad you are here. You see Sherry. Rachel. Thanks for telling me your name, Rachel. I'm going to write that down. Yay! You got me live. I'm a little late today. My kids do not have school on Fridays, but my 13-year-old started track, and he did have practice today, so I had to go pick him up and was driving during my normal time. Well, my normal-ish time. Hi, Brooke. I'm never right on the dot, am I? That's kind of my personality. So welcome and happy Friday. If you are new, I am Melissa from MakerySpace.com. And I love to educate and equip Etsy sellers in the more left-brain aspects of running their creative business. I like to get on Periscope. Welcome. I like to get on Periscope and just talk about ins and outs of selling on Etsy and the things that you might have questions about, the things that I see misunderstood, just any area that I can help in and use my experience to help. And Q&A is what happens on Friday. Hi, Kareth. But I do have a couple little tidbits to share before you ask questions. I want to make sure I get this in. So the first tidbit is that if you got my newsletter on Sunday, you saw my prediction that we'd probably have some sort of tweak to the rearrange function in the new shop design this week, and they did do that. So with the new shop design now, there's two options, and it's probably only going to be the case until the design goes live. So you have the regular rearrange your shop, and then you have one where you can, what do they say exactly? Use my original custom sort. So if you are one of those shop owners, and really I would say this might be good for any shop owner. I did this as well. You might want to rearrange your shop in the classic view right now. Get it exactly the way that you want, because right now, you can move things to different pages. That's not going to be the case when it switches permanently to the new view, because it's that whole continuous scroll thing where you have to click see more items and keep opening it until all your items are there, and then you're like dragging way up or way down the screen to position your items. Go to your classic view, rearrange it exactly the way that you want so that you can move things between pages, and then when it's the way that you want, you go into your new shop design, and when you go into the edit mode, instead of click rearrange items, you click use my original custom sort, and it will kind of solidify how you just sorted it in classic view, and we'll keep it that way. So when everything flips on Tuesday, then it will be in that sort view. Because right now, the way it is now, if you sort it in classic view and you don't cement it, when you go into your edit mode of your new shop view, the views are actually different. So however you rearrange it right now in classic view, when you go to preview your shop in the new view, it's not the same. You have to rearrange it there separately. Okay, so if you kind of cement it by clicking that button, then when your new shop design takes hold on Tuesday and things sell, or maybe you renew a listing that was sold out that wasn't in your shop when you rearranged it, then what they've done now is that every listing is numbered. So when you go to rearrange your shop, you can change the number that comes up for the listing. So when you click that, on the top right, there'll be a number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way through however many items you have in your shop. Trying to rearrange right now like that, I think would be a real pain, because you have to figure out what number you want things to go in. But if you rearrange your shop in the classic view and get that firm, then when the new shop design comes, if you just have one item that you renew or a new item that you add, then you can more easily position it where you want. So let's say you renew an item and you're like, oh, I want that to be 10th in my shop. Then you can just change the number to 10. Although, I haven't played around this to see what happens to the current number 10. I'm guessing it just bumps everything down one. So you might want to play around with that before your shop goes live. So that is my suggestion. If you have a whole bunch of items, is to go ahead, rearrange now, because you're not going to have the opportunity to rearrange by page come Tuesday. It's only going to be able to be that whole either dragging or changing the numbers. So get your rearranging done before Tuesday. Go into the edit mode in your new shop view and click use my original custom sort. And then that will take hold. It will change right now. Right then you'll see your listings in your new shop view switch around to the way you have it in your classic view. Yes, because the way this rearrange feature has been one of the biggest complaints about the new shop design, because it's so tedious for people with a bunch of items in their shop. So get that rearranging done now. Cement it in your new shop view by clicking use my original custom sort, and then you can just deal with smaller bits of rearranging when the new shop design goes live. Because remember, however you have it sorted in the new shop design, if something sells and you have more than one listed and it renews, it will go back to its original spot with the way that the new shop design is. It will not float back to the top like it used to, where you have to rearrange everything again. Okay? So if something is like 12th in your shop, starting next week, and after Tuesday, if it sells and renews, it's going to go back to 12th in your shop. So get that rearranging done to take advantage of that, and then you're just only having to deal with new listings or things that you may not have had in your shop when the new shop design came into effect. Does that make sense? I know it sounds kind of confusing, but if you have any questions, just send me an email. Oh, good. I'm glad you're getting that. Are you doing the larger cover image? Okay, so that is my first tidbit. And my second tidbit has to do with the fact, if you're a total newbie and you haven't started to shop yet, I would recommend that you start out by reading the Etsy help articles just on the logistics of getting things listed in a shop, just to kind of start out. And then once you have a shop open and you have a name and all of that, then there's some things that you can do later to start optimizing. I don't really have any tutorials for the actual shop opening at this point, because that's outlined pretty well in Etsy help. But yeah, the seller handbook covers, there's a lot of things the seller handbook doesn't cover, but they really cover all that initial stuff pretty well, I think. So the other thing, I did a little experiment. For March, because I'm working on developing a course, I had basically just ready to list items in my shop during the month of March, except for I did have my kids give, save, spend set, and then I had my listing for my basic cash envelope wallet in choice of fabric, because that's my quickest one to make. So anything that took longer to make and any accessories, I deactivated or allowed them to stay sold out because I needed to free up some time in March. Which made me nervous, because, you just wonder what's going to happen to my listings when I renew them again. Are they going to fall off the face of the earth, or what's going to happen? So my two top selling listings are my basic divided cash envelope wallet in choice of fabric, which I left in the shop because that one's simpler to make, and my organize it wallet, which I did not leave in the shop because it takes longer and has a longer turnaround. So what I did is, when I reactivated or renewed all the listings today that I had not had in the shop, I checked to see what that Organize It did. Now, the Organize It wallet, I actually let it sell out in February because it has a 3-week turnaround, and so I did not want to be selling it towards the end of the month and then having to work on them in March. So I think it was sold out for at least 6 weeks. It might have been a little closer to 7, but definitely 6 weeks. Now, that listing is always in the top 6 of search results on page 1 when I search cash envelope wallet, which is the keyword phrase, the main keyword phrase I'm optimizing for with that listing. Sometimes it's at number 1, sometimes number 3, but it's never lower than number 6. And it really depends on how recently it's sold, how many I've sold recently, all that kind of stuff. So when I renewed it today from being sold out after 6 weeks of not being listed in my shop, not being available to be found in search, therefore no views, no favorites. Well, I take that back. There could have been some views through people's favorites or links out there. But definitely no sales to give me a boost. It immediately went back to spot 6. So I just wanted to share that with you, that if you have some bestsellers, and you, like, if your life circumstances happen where you need to go on vacation mode for some reason, maybe you're getting surgery or your child is, or there's something where you're afraid to do it, don't be completely paranoid. Now, I wish I had taken note of where some of my other listings had fallen before, or were landing before I wasn't selling them for a month, so that I could have compared. But I'm guessing that some of them that maybe are not my best sellers will take a little bit more time to gain some traction. But that bestseller definitely went right back to within the range of its normal spot after 6 weeks. And then I had another, my pouch that can go on a planner that has the elastic band. That one went right back to, it was in the top 3 rows. I don't remember. I thought I wrote down where it went, but I am so disorganized with my notes today. Okay, take that back. It went back to number 2 when I did a search for planner pouch on Etsy. After being out of the shop for 4.5 weeks, it went back to number 2 for that search. So it can happen. You don't have to worry about it. And it just proves too when people are like, no, they're showing new shop stuff, and the people that have established popular listings are falling to the bottom of search. That's a rumor that I've heard recently. Now, I do think they're doing some things with diversifying what shows up in search, but people are saying if you sell stuff and then it renews, it's gonna land at the bottom of search, and that's just not true. You can see that just from renewing it, popular listing, after not selling it at all for weeks, it can climb back up if it has that kind of attraction from previous views, favorites, and sales, which is part of the listing quality component of the algorithm. Okay, so those are my 2 little tidbits for today. Did anyone come with a question? No? You typing? Okay, I thought maybe. I will give you time. Oh, good, Danielle. Yeah, that was fun. You can't rearrange on iPad. Is that in the new shop for you or the old one, Laura? Others recommending launching with 10 items. Yeah, I think that's a good recommendation to start with, at least that. 50 sales. Yay, Alyssa. Good job. Ooh, I missed a couple of those. Oh, thanks, Julia. Okay, Laura, I'm not sure why you can't rearrange. So the button's not even there. Okay, try this. It's possible that you don't have that set up in your shop settings. Go into your shop settings and go into options. It is set up. Oh, the rearrange button is there. You just can't drag. I've noticed sometimes if my internet connection is a little bit sketchy, it takes several seconds for the items to be highlighted to where I'm able to drag them. So have you kind of waited after clicking the rearrange button? Try that. Sometimes it pops up right away, and sometimes I have to wait several seconds before it even gives me the option to move them around. So you might try that. To get rid of listings that aren't producing. Sherry, I think that you had emailed me about this, right? You said on Amazon it can hurt you. I have heard no evidence that there's anything in the algorithm on Etsy that having listings that don't sell can hurt you. iPad still doesn't do the new rearrange. Okay, that's good to know. So I'd say if things aren't selling, it's not gonna hurt you to keep them there necessarily. But then you have to think overall: is it affecting my brand? Do I have items in my shop that maybe are kind of I've improved on my photos, or I've improved on my techniques or my style, and they just really don't fit anymore with my shop? I think those would be good ones to either get rid of, or if maybe the item itself isn't outdated or doesn't reflect your style anymore, then maybe just improve the pictures. You might need to update photos if it's not selling. You could try, if it's just been sitting there for a while, you could always just try to renew it and see what happens. But I think you need just kind of look a little bit more globally at your shop. If it fits with what you do, if it's a quality item, and the photos are good, then, you might just keep it there because someone might end up wanting to buy it. But if you're like, if you're like, oh, this is kind of embarrassing that I even have this in my shop. If you're embarrassed by the item itself or the style of it, then you might just decide, yeah, I'm not going to sell this anymore. Or if it's just the photos you're embarrassed by, then improve those. But yeah, I don't think the conversion rate on individual items has any effect in search placement when it comes to on the Etsy platform itself. Okay. I'm sorry that I'm missing some questions because they're kind of coming up fast. So if you want to repost, you might want to copy, when you type out a question, copy it and then put it back in. Explain why Etsy says the shop policies will improve SEO. So this is what Etsy admin has said about the shop policies. If you adopt their new structured policies, they say you will have an advantage, a little boost in search. But they also make clear that shops who already had policies in place have already experienced that advantage in search, because that is something at some point they made part of the algorithm and is a part of consideration for customer experience factor. So it's just a tiny piece of the pie. It's not like shops with no policies can't show up in search. It's just, there's lots of different aspects to the algorithm. Having policies is just one of them. So I think the main advantage is going to be seen, I think, by shops who are going from 0 policies to their structured policies. So right now I have my own policies, and I'm actually keeping my own policies, at least for now. I've had my own policies for a long time. If I were to move to their policies, I might see a tiny, tiny bit of a boost in search. Might. Any possible tiny boost in search that I might see right now is not worth it to me, because I have developed my policies over time in response to different situations and circumstances that I've had in my shop where I feel like things need to be made clear on allowing returns and when it needs to be done, and international orders, and there's a whole bunch of different things that I have tweaked in my policies as things have come up. There's not room to keep those things in my policies if I move to their structured policies. Now, I can put those into Q&A, but Etsy has also made it clear that whatever's in your Q&A does not matter if a case is opened against you. That is not something that they will consider. So if you cover those things in the Q&A, well, that's great if someone reads it. But if someone opens a case, you can't say, well, I say in my Q&A that in order for a return to be made, that the item has to be whatever, not used, unworn, sent back with delivery confirmation, whatever it is. If you say that in your Q&A, that matters 0 to Etsy if a case is opened. So if it's not in your policies, it's not going to hold water. That is why I'm sticking with my written policies right now, and I'm just going to watch and see, does anything happen to my items? I'll kind of keep an eye on a variety of items, see if anything happens to them in search after April 5th, with all things else being considered if they're normal. If views and favorites and sales are kind of normal and I see some dropping in search, then I might link it to that. But I highly doubt it because, like I said, it's such a small piece of the pie. So if you have no policies, then I recommend that you get them for sure. And it's much better to have their structured policies than no policies at all. And you might even say, you know what, my policies are pretty straightforward. I don't mind going to theirs. That's fine. I'm not saying their policies are totally evil. I have just taken too long to develop mine. They will stand behind whatever is in your policies, Tracy. So you don't have to adopt theirs. Now, it's possible that this is something that they will push for over time. I've seen it with other things. They continue to push for integrating PayPal if you haven't done that. And I think there's, they might make it more important and more factored into search over time. But for now, I'm not panicking about it, and I'm just going to keep my existing policy. So that's a personal decision. You're planning to transition to 100% digital. Yeah, they might work totally fine for you, Alyssa. You might not need anything extra in there. The thing is, you can't go backwards as far as I know once the new shop design takes hold, if you have adopted their structured policies. Can I add invite you to do it? I don't think you can add any kind of a checkbox in the structured policies. The structured policies, you can't really change the wording. You just get to choose from some options. That, as far as I have seen, you can't be putting paragraphs in there or anything. The email they send out upon order is horrible. So you can tailor the receipt. You can add a note on there as far as including any information that you want. That's in info and appearance in your shop settings. And you can link to your newsletter. You can tell them whatever you need to tell them in that note that goes out with the receipt when they make a purchase. They didn't show that where. It's not in the new shop design because it's part of your regular shop settings. So that the new shop design is literally just what people are going to see when they come to your shop. And so that letter that goes out, that email that goes out after a purchase is not included there. So that's under shop settings, info, and appearance. There's an other option checkbox under I will only, oh, that's what you're talking about, yeah. That's the one where I think Etsy's trying to corral any possibility of inviting people to your email list outside of just putting a link. So that's another thing that I'm not super fond of on the policies because it's like you're gluing yourself to that. Yeah, and they used their own wording and didn't have yours in the email. Yeah, they're that check mark thing that is in your policies. That doesn't get included anywhere in any sort of email. So that's just your privacy policy that's shown in your policy, or your privacy policy that's shown in your policies in your shop. So that's not connected to the email that goes out to buyers after a transaction. Okay, I know I missed. It's another thing to be careful of starting out. I don't know about being careful of, but I think one of the biggest things to be aware of is that in a saturated marketplace, there's lots and lots of sellers, 1.4 million or something. You have got to stand out, and so you've got to have good photos. I think that is one of the biggest things to start with. Hi, Jessica. Even before you work on figuring out what to do for tags and titles, before you list any items in your shop, get good photos taken, because if you don't have good photos, all the other optimizing you do will mostly be in vain, because no one is going to want to click through when they find you in search results. So I think photos really have become the biggest piece. I mean, it's not like the photos are part of the algorithm, but because clicking through and getting views and getting favorites and getting sales is really important, the photos are like that starting point. That is what gives people the first impression. So I would say that's something that people could get away with a lot more a few years ago, is having subpar photos, and I think that that's become a lot more important. Do I promote on social media? Yes, I do promote on social media. I have a presence on pretty much all social media channels, and I just kind of use them, intersperse my stuff on them, and then Pinterest is what I'm trying to really master right now. Pinterest brings a lot of traffic, but I've just kind of lucked out because I've been on Pinterest for a long time, and I think that I've learned that I need to strategize a little bit more and be more intentional with Pinterest. So that's what I'm working on right now. The rearrange feature in the new shop design, you have to make sure you go into edit your shop, and then when you scroll down right above where all of your listings are, there should be those two options to either rearrange or to use the custom sort. But make sure you go into the edit mode. If you're previewing your shop in the new shop design, you're not going to see that option. You have to be in edit your shop. Okay, anybody want to retype one that I missed? There was one I was trying to keep in my head that came up when I was talking earlier, and then it didn't stay there. I do, T. Marie, 1969 T. Marie. If you go to MakerySpace.com/scope and click on, oh, Amy, I missed that. If you click on Work With Me, you will see I have shop critiques and I have mentoring sessions. Busy month in March. If you've only got 1 to 2 hours, what do you do first? Oh, So, Amy, everything's just going to be automatic. So really what's going to happen is if you don't do anything, there will be no shop banner or cover image. Yeah, it is a good problem to have, isn't it? But everything else will be there. So I would say that if you don't care, if you don't have a banner or cover image right now, just don't worry about it. Get those wholesale orders done and then go back in, especially since Etsy is not your primary selling spot. Then go back in later and do some tweaks because then you'll be able to see what it's going to look like. But everything is pretty automatic as far as it should be seamless as far as it transferring over. So I think people's biggest concerns are getting things rearranged correctly so they're not having to deal with the new rearrange feature with hundreds of items. And also I think people are trying to get cover images done so that there's nothing there. But if nothing else, Amy, you could just go ahead and use your banner, and at least there'll be something if you want it there. It just won't show on mobile. It'll be like now where your shop icon is at the top and there's no banner or cover image at all above it. Okay? But there's nothing really that if you don't do it, anything's going to fall apart in your shop. Okay? So if someone were like on vacation for the last 2 months and they had no idea what was going on in Etsy and they came back on Tuesday and their shop looked different, everything would still be there except for their banner. It would just look totally different. All right? And don't forget, you have those extra 5 sections too. So you can start using those now. You can set up those sections right now in your listings manager if you want to start separating out some of the ones where you've had sections crammed together. Create the cut is doing a video on the new shop banner. No, what's create the cut? Is that a shop? I'm not familiar with them. It's a graphic shop. Is it on Etsy, Sarah? So they're doing a video, like they have it on a blog or something. Okay, and if you are interested in knowing more about setting up the cover image for your shop so that it looks good both in a browser and on mobile and isn't covered up by your shop icon, all of my subscribers, that is my freebie right now for any subscribers to MakerySpace.com. You can get access to that video that shows you how to do that and some best practices for the dimensions and that kind of thing. So that is my opt-in. Mary Did May, why don't you, so Mary Did May, I wrote your name down, so I'm going to call you by your name. Where is it? Rachel. Rachel, why don't you send me an email at melissa@makeryspace.com. Well, that would be fun to see your bold cover photo. Send me a little email when you get it done so I can check it out. I wish I could remember what that one question is that I wanted to talk about. Bummer. So yeah, this would be good on Fridays if you post a question, copy it so that you could paste it as well. Yeah, I'll look at yours too, Sarah. So if anyone wants me to peek at their cover image, thanks, Danielle. Go ahead and just at melissa@makeryspace.com, send me the link to your shop, and I will